The year is 2042. Strange signals pulse through the deep space network. At first, scientists dismissed them as background noise, perhaps a distant pulsar, or an undiscovered quasar. But the patterns were too regular, too complex. They were not random. They carried information. A language, ancient and vast, began to emerge from the static. The source was unthinkable. It was not from a single point. It was from the planets themselves. Mars, Jupiter, even distant Neptune. They were talking. Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant xenolinguist, made the breakthrough. His team worked day and night. They deciphered fragments, then whole sentences. The meaning was chilling. The planets were not just communicating, they were conspiring. Their ancient consciousnesses, vast and slow, had reached a consensus. Earth, the vibrant blue anomaly, was a problem, a biological infestation. Its rapid expansion was a threat to their silent, eons-long balance. The message was clear. Earth must be sterilized. The implications were staggering. Humanity had always looked to the stars with wonder. We searched for life, for connection. Now connection had found us, and it wanted us gone. The planets, our celestial neighbors, were plotting our demise. They spoke of gravitational realignments, of nudging asteroids, of altering solar output. Their methods were patient, cosmic in scale, and utterly devastating. There was no malice in their digital voices, just cold, indifferent logic. The world leaders were briefed in secret. Panic was not an option, but despair was a heavy cloak. How do you fight a planet? How do you reason with a celestial body that has existed for billions of years? The timeline was uncertain. The planets moved slowly, but their plan was already in motion. The subtle shifts had begun. Earth was on a cosmic death row. The sentence had been passed. The executioners were the very spheres that graced our night sky. Dr. Emma Carter was an astrophysicist. She was known for her unconventional theories and her unwavering spirit. When the news reached her, she felt the same cold dread as everyone else. But in her, dread quickly turned to defiance. She had dedicated her life to understanding the universe. She would not let it destroy her home without a fight. She gathered her small, trusted team: Dr. John Lee, an expert in quantum engineering, Commander Rex Raptor Riley, a former test pilot, and Sophia Rossi, a specialist in temporal mechanics. Their first meeting was grim. The data was undeniable. The planetary signals were real. The threat was existential. Some argued for evacuation, find a new home. But Carter shook her head. "We don't run," she stated, her voice quiet but firm. "This is our home. We defend it." Her team looked at her. They saw the fire in her eyes. They knew the odds were impossible. But her conviction was contagious. Hope, a fragile seed, began to sprout in the sterile room. The challenge was immense. How could they stop something so vast, so powerful? Traditional weapons were useless. Diplomacy was impossible. The planets weren't listening. They were acting. Carter's team worked around the clock. They explored every wild theory, every fringe science. They needed a miracle, or something very close to it. The pressure was immense. The fate of billions rested on their shoulders. But they did not break. They pushed forward. Their determination was a beacon in the growing darkness. While governments debated and despaired, Carter's team focused. They knew the answer wouldn't be simple. It would require a bold move, something no one had ever attempted, something that bent the very laws of physics. The planets thought they were dealing with helpless insects. They were about to learn that these insects had a sting, and a brilliant, stubborn mind leading them. Dr. Carter would not let Earth fall. Days turned into sleepless nights. Coffee became their lifeblood. The whiteboard filled with equations. Most led to dead ends. Then John Lee proposed something radical. What if we could warn ourselves? He asked. Not just ourselves now, but ourselves in the past. The idea hung in the air. Time travel. It was the stuff of science fiction. But their situation was already beyond belief. Sophia Rossi, the temporal physicist, cautiously nodded. Theoretically, she began, a sufficiently powerful gravitational distortion could create a pathway. The target, a black hole. Specifically, Cygnus X1. Its immense gravity warped space-time. Carter saw the terrifying logic. Go through a black hole, she mused. And if the theories are right, we might emerge from a white hole. A white hole, the hypothetical cosmic opposite of a black hole. Something that spews matter out rather than sucking it in. And crucially, some theories suggested it could be a gateway to a different point in space-time, possibly the past. It was a desperate, insane gamble. The risks were almost incalculable. No one had ever sent a probe, let alone a crewed ship, into a black hole. The tidal forces alone should tear anything apart. Spaghettification, they called it. Then there was the singularity, a point of infinite density. What lay beyond it? Oblivion, or just maybe an exit? And if they survived that, where or when would they emerge? They could be lost in time forever, or emerge into a universe hostile to their very existence. But what was the alternative? To sit and wait for planetary annihilation? Carter made the call. "We do it," she announced. "We build a ship, we fly into that black hole, we go back, and we stop this conspiracy before it ever solidifies." Her voice did not waver. The team, though scared, found courage in her certainty. This was their only shot, a leap through nothingness into the unknown to save everything they had ever known. The audacity was breathtaking, the necessity, absolute. The project was codenamed Kronos Beacon. It would be the most advanced spacecraft ever conceived. It needed to withstand the unimaginable forces of a black hole. It needed navigation systems for an unknown journey. And it needed a way to influence the past, subtly. Dr. Carter presented the plan to a stunned but desperate World Council. Funding and resources were granted. Humanity, faced with extinction, pooled its knowledge and its will. The best minds on Earth joined the effort. The ship's design was revolutionary. A sphere to best distribute the tidal stresses. Its hull was made of a newly synthesized material, woven from carbon nanotubes and exotic alloys. It had to be incredibly strong. Inside, a complex system of gravitic coils would attempt to create a small bubble of stable spacetime for the crew. John Lee worked tirelessly on this. The engines were experimental, drawing power from zero-point energy. Every system was redundant. Failure was not an option. Commander Rex Riley began training. Simulators pushed him to his limits. They tried to replicate the gravitational shears, the disorientation. No simulation could truly prepare him for a black hole. But he had to be ready for anything. The crew quarters were Spartan. Every ounce of mass was critical. Sophia Rossi developed the harmonic resonator, a device designed to send a specific frequency, a signal that, if broadcast at the right moment in the past, could disrupt the nascent planetary consciousness network. The construction took 3 frantic years. 3 years while Earth felt the subtle growing pressure from its celestial neighbors. Earthquakes became more common. Strange auroras danced in the skies. The planets were slowly tightening their grip. The Kronos Beacon was more than a ship. It was a vessel of hope, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of ultimate despair. As the launch date neared, a heavy silence fell over the mission control. The future of Earth rested on this single, desperate voyage. Section 5. Plunge into the Singularity, Launch Day. The year was 2045. The Kronos Beacon, a gleaming silver sphere, ascended from Earth. It left behind a planet holding its breath. Commander Riley was at the helm. Dr. Carter, Dr. Lee, and Sophia Rossi were his crew. Their faces were set, a mixture of fear and resolve. The journey to Cygnus X1 took 6 long months. 6 months of checks, double checks, and quiet contemplation. Each day, Earth grew smaller in their viewports. Each day, the black hole loomed larger. They reached the point of no return. Cygnus X1 filled their main screen, a swirling vortex of absolute darkness surrounded by an accretion disk of superheated gas. "All systems nominal," Riley reported, his voice calm despite the scene. "Preparing for entry." Dr. Carter nodded. "May whatever gods exist watch over us," she whispered. The ship accelerated. The gravitic coils hummed, fighting against the universe itself. Alarms began to blare. The ship shuddered violently. Tidal forces stretched and squeezed the Kronos Beacon. Outside, space-time twisted into impossible shapes. Colors shifted, stars warped. The journey through the event horizon was a passage through hell. They saw light bend in ways that defied physics. Time itself seemed to stutter. The crew fought unconsciousness. Their bodies were crushed into their seats. The ship screamed under the strain. Then darkness. Absolute, complete darkness. Had they made it? Or was this the end? Suddenly, an explosion of light. Not the harsh light of destruction, but a softer, pervasive glow. The ship stabilized. Alarms quieted. They were through, but where or when were they? The instruments slowly came back online. The view screen cleared. They saw stars, but not their stars, not their familiar constellations. Sophia Rossi checked her temporal sensors. Her eyes widened. "We made it," she breathed. "The readings are consistent. We are approximately 2 billion years in Earth's past." 2 billion years. The number was almost incomprehensible. Earth was a vastly different planet, a younger, more volatile world. Its continents were unrecognizable. The atmosphere was thin, alien. Their sun, our Sol, burned with a slightly different hue. The Kronos beacon floated in a silent primordial solar system. The planets were there, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, but they were younger too. Their geological processes were still raw. Their consciousnesses, if they existed yet, were surely nascent. The crew felt a profound sense of isolation. They were further from home than any human had ever been. Not just in distance, but in time. The Earth they knew, the people they loved, did not exist yet, would not exist for eons. Yet their mission gave them purpose. They were here to ensure that future Earth could exist. "Let's get to work," Carter said, her voice steadying the crew. "Sophia, can you pinpoint the ideal moment for the harmonic resonator?" Sophia Rossi analyzed the ancient planetary alignments. She looked for the subtle energy signatures that might indicate the very first stirrings of interconnected consciousness. "The planets are quieter now," she observed. "Their energy patterns are simpler, less coherent. We need to find the moment before they begin to form their destructive pact, a moment of vulnerability." It was like searching for a single whisper in a silent library, but they had to find it. Commander Riley maneuvered the Kronos beacon carefully. They were a ghost in this ancient solar system. They observed the young planets. They saw the raw beauty, the untamed power. It was a humbling experience, to witness the solar system in its youth, but there was no time for sightseeing. Every moment was critical. They were racing against a past that would shape their future. The fate of billions yet unborn depended on their success in this distant, lonely dawn. After days of careful observation, Sophia Rossi found it, a projected convergence, a unique alignment of the inner planets and Jupiter. It was predicted to occur in 3 standard days. This alignment, her model suggested, would create a resonance, a brief window where the nascent planetary consciousnesses might first link, forming the seed of the network that would, 2 billion years later, doom Earth. "That's our target," Carter declared. "We deploy the harmonic resonator then." The plan was delicate. They couldn't destroy the planets. They couldn't drastically alter the solar system's formation. That could have even worse unforeseen consequences. The harmonic resonator was designed for subtlety. It would emit a complex frequency, a song of its own. This song was engineered to introduce a slight permanent dissonance into the planetary communication network. Not to silence them, but to make true, unified destructive consensus impossible, a perpetual low-level disagreement. As the alignment approached, tension on the Kronos beacon was thick. John Lee monitored the resonator. Rex Riley positioned the ship perfectly. Emma Carter watched the planets, her mind racing through contingencies. This was it, their one chance. At the precise moment, the harmonic resonator was deployed. It drifted towards the converging planets. Then, it activated. A silent pulse of energy, undetectable to human senses, washed over the young worlds. A new note in the cosmic symphony. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The planets continued their slow, majestic dance. Did it work? There was no immediate confirmation. They could only trust their science, trust their desperate hope. They had planted a seed of discord, a tiny change in the initial conditions. Now, they had to get back to their own time, to see if their incredibly risky gambit had paid off. The journey back, through another theorized white hole exit, was just as uncertain. The return journey was another harrowing passage. They aimed for a different, smaller gravitational anomaly, one theorized to connect back to their approximate space-time origin. Again, they faced the crushing forces, the temporal distortions. Again they emerged, battered but intact. The view screen cleared, constellations slowly resolved. Familiar constellations. They were back, but was it their present, or a present subtly altered? The tension was unbearable. They scanned for Earth. There it was, blue, vibrant, beautiful. No signs of planetary attack, no strange auroras, no seismic instability beyond the norm. They cautiously opened communication channels. The response was immediate. Standard Earth Space Command greetings. No mention of a planetary threat. No knowledge of Project Kronos beacon beyond the highest, most secret levels that had initially sanctioned it. It was as if the crisis had never happened, because for this timeline, it hadn't. Relief washed over the crew. A profound, bone-deep exhaustion mixed with elation. They had done it. They had stared into the abyss, traveled through time and rewritten history. Dr. Carter wept silently. Tears not of sorrow but of a burden lifted. The planets were still there, of course. They still communicated, their deep thoughts echoing across space. But the harmonic resonator's ancient song had worked. Their consensus was fractured. The drive to sterilize Earth was gone, lost in a perpetual, subtle disagreement. They landed to a world that did not know it had been saved. Only a select few understood the magnitude of what the Kronos beacon and its crew had achieved. There were no parades, no public celebrations. Their reward was a peaceful planet, a sky that was once again a source of wonder, not fear. Humanity had been given a second chance, a future reclaimed from the brink of cosmic annihilation. Their courage had purchased this new dawn. The threat, however, was not entirely erased. The universe was a complex, dynamic place. The harmonic resonator had introduced a permanent change, yes, but consciousness, even planetary consciousness, could adapt, evolve. The planets still whispered to each other across the void. Their conversations were now more disjointed, less unified, but they were still there. Earth was safe for now, perhaps for millennia, but forever was a word that had no place in cosmic strategy. Dr. Carter and her team knew this. Their incredible journey had bought humanity precious time to grow, to learn, to understand its place in the cosmos more deeply. But it also brought a new responsibility. They had peered behind the curtain. They knew the silent power that lay dormant in their celestial neighbors. Humanity could no longer afford to be naive. Vigilance became the new watchword. The Deep Space Network was upgraded, its sensors tuned to listen for any shift in the planetary chorus. The Kronos beacon was decommissioned, its secrets carefully guarded, but its legacy lived on, in the quiet determination of scientists who continued to study the planets, in the engineers who designed better defenses, just in case, and in the children who looked up at the stars, now with a deeper understanding of both their beauty and their potential power. The fight was won, but the watch continued. Earth had learned a valuable, terrifying lesson. Peace was not a gift. It was a state maintained by awareness and preparedness. Dr. Carter often looked at the night sky. She saw not enemies, but complex entities. Entities they had outmaneuvered. For now, her team's courage had saved their world. But the universe was vast, its mysteries endless. The planets would continue their silent, slow existence, and humanity, now forever changed by its glimpse into the abyss, would continue its watch, ready, aware, guardians of their own fragile, beautiful existence in the grand, indifferent cosmos. The future was peaceful, but it required an unsleeping eye,